I was just thinking something deeply psychological came into mind there when you were
Good,
saying.
tell me. I like it when you're deeply psychological. It's the new meditative Nicola Cairncross.
It doesn't happen that often, but oh my God. It packs a punch when it does.
Tell me.
Welcome to Own It, Your Business and Your Life, with Nicola Cairncross and Judith Morgan. In this podcast, we're going to cover everything you need to embrace to become a successful entrepreneur, marketing, money, and much, much more. How to create a business doing just what you love. How to own it, your business and your life. This one will be fast, funny, feisty, and very lively. So sit back and enjoy the show.
Morning. You're checking your speakers.
I am checking my speakers. I only just realised because I saw the sign and I thought, I'm just going to go and check. And yeah, it was click mute.
Well, I always check while I'm waiting for you because there's no rhyme or reason to it slightly about what overrides things on our computers, is there?
Well, I was actually having 2 minutes deep breathing because I've been so overexcited this morning. I thought I'd better take a few deep breaths.
Oh, overexcited. Overexcited because of things you want to tell us today, or what?
Revelations, Judith, arising from my meditations.
Oh, my word.
I know.
You are a weirdo.
I know. That's what makes me so entertaining. Right. Well, there we go. Let's pull ourselves together then. Now we've got over the speakers not working and me being so funny.
Okay. You go first.
I've just swallowed a bit of my coffee down the wrong way now. Oh. What's happened this week? Well, it's been a week of fun, Judith, out in Stupa. And we started with Friday night, Dave's Dining Club. Can't even remember. Oh, we went to Pefco, which is my mate Elias's place. It was open. It's been, they're all starting to open again now. So we went there that night and then we had a really good night. There was a lot of, there's 10 or 12 of us. So we can get a little bit loud. And one of our parties from Yorkshire, and he's very loud, but he's absolutely heart of gold, but he is quite loud. And at one point during the evening, I could see there were several sniffy English people who've just arrived and think that they've discovered Stupa and they think that they own it. And they were looking at him like daggers. It was so hilarious. And I used to be one of those sniffy people. I wouldn't like, if I went somewhere and there was a bunch of loud English people, I would
having a nice time, yeah.
Yeah, having a nice time and spending a lot of money with the local tavernas, putting money into the economy. Yeah. I just got very sniffy about it.
It's weird, isn't it? We always got to remember the other foot, or I don't know what the expression is, but the other, and actually I'm tortured by this slightly. It's so easy for me to see both sides of everything. It's a torture. But we always have to remember that. Things are not as they look. Things are not as they appear. If you can't make a noise in a taverna, where can you make a noise?
I know, especially as the Greeks are the loudest people on the...
Quite, and probably we'll do a little plate smashing later.
Yeah, that's not in our area, but every time you hear two Greeks greeting each other and then having a conversation, it sounds like they're having a go at each other.
Yeah, well, there you go, effusive.
Exactly, and then that was followed by Easter Sunday because, of course, it was Easter here 1 week later. And
and you've also had a second Christmas this week, haven't you?
Well, excuse me, second guessing my.
No, I'm not second guessing. You put it on Facebook.
Yes, but not everybody who listens to the podcast would have seen that yet.
Oh, okay.
Anyway, so Sunday was amazing. I mean, the team at Melissa just worked their butts off. I've got some short little videos, so I'll be posting that up today. There were 3 lambs and 2 goats on the go, lots and lots of roast potatoes, and some gorgeous salads. The salads they do out here are really interesting. They've got so many different ingredients. They're absolutely delicious. Nothing like the old limp lettuce you get at home. So that was really nice. And then yesterday I was on roast potato patrol for a late Christmas that we had.
Yeah, only you've had Christmas and Easter in the same week.
I know, it's strange. But I was in charge of producing roast potatoes for 20, and I was scared there wouldn't be enough because you know what happens with potatoes? You buy a massive bag. You've counted out the potatoes knowing that they're going to make 3 or 4 bits per each. So you buy 20 potatoes, which should in theory be 80 bits. But the minute you start cooking the whatsits, they go down into nothing. So you end up with 2, quite nice looking trays of potatoes, but you think, oh my God, it's never going to feed anybody. But everybody else brought another dish and there was a £26 turkey. But the funny thing was, I shouldn't laugh really, vegetarians listen away now. They ordered the turkey. I thought we were having Christmas because they'd found the turkey in someone's freezer. No, not a bit of it. That was Chinese whispers. They were having Christmas because they were meant to come back at Christmas, and then she had to have an operation. Heather, our hostess, and so they didn't come back. So that at one point they realised they were going to come back to their Christmas decorations being up still. So then they said, well, some wag said, well, why don't we have Christmas lunch? And it grew from there. So last week, with all the excitement about Easter, Billy, who runs the taverna we went to for Easter, he was supposed to have ordered the turkey. Well, of course, he'd completely forgotten. Then there ensued much ringing around the Marnie trying to find a turkey. And they found one, and it was a 26-pounder, and it was very, very delicious indeed. But suddenly, halfway through lunch yesterday, someone realised that we hadn't seen the turkey down the road for a little.
Oh, no! You were eating your friend!
There's a place that sells, I think they're Albanians, they've got a little sign outside that says, we sell eggs. And the we sell eggs chickens are completely free range. They're the ones I sometimes photograph because they're just wandering about the fields. But I do recall that there was a turkey with them at one point, and I haven't seen it recently.
But that's the one turkey that escaped Christmas, but he only lasted till Easter.
I know, that's so ironic, isn't it?
Oh, dear. Yeah.
I know. It's a tale of it's a bit like, what's that film?
Well, meat's always fine unless you can put a face on it, and then it's a bit scary, isn't it?
Yeah, well, someone had a picture of the damn thing.
Yeah, I bet, yeah. Greater Luff hath no turkey that he would give himself for your Christmas lunch.
Well, we did appreciate him, but it did remind me of, what's that film, something about something chefs, cooks and lovers. Something.
Yes, the thief, the cook, the something and her lover or something. I know the one you mean. Yeah,
really enjoyed that. It was a film about gluttony, wasn't it? Well, yes. This week's been all about gluttony for me.
Greek gluttony.
Greek gluttony, indeed. What about you?
I've got 3 things to tell you in this section. They don't make any logical sense, so I'll just read them to you in the order that I've written them down. So now that I've been nomading for a while, it's helped me to compile a list of what I would want next time I put down roots.
Ah.
And I know what I don't want, and of course that is no way to manifest, because if you focus on what you don't
absolutely.
More of that shows up in your life. So I'm making a list of the things I do want. And it's quite difficult to make a list which says no Argers and no wood burners. You know, what's the opposite of an Arger? I want 2 of those lovely executive slimline ovens on the wall that are higher up so I don't have to bend down. That's how I want to be cooking. I want nice, modern air source heating or underfloor heating or something I don't see and certainly don't stoke. So heat, I'm putting at number 1 now. I mean, I think it always was at number 1, but I hadn't put it there deliberately, which was a mistake on my part. It's like I'd always taken it for granted. And here I am, 62, nearly 63, and I'm in a place in my life where I can't take heat for granted.
No.
So I can't think when I'm cold. I'm totally miserable to boot. And if the weather warms up even a tad, I'm happy pootling about doing stuff and feeling good about myself. And a few degrees makes a lot of difference.
It does. You're right.
When I get up in the morning, I'm quite toasty warm from having been cozy in my duvet, and then have a nice hot shower and a nice hot cup of coffee, and that lasts me for about the first hour of the day. And then it's misery personified after that until... and I looked at the BBC weather app last night. It's going to be something like 20 in about 10 minutes time. So this week, I made up on those calls I missed last week due to the power cut. So that thing I said in the first sentence about being cold, add in a power cut, when we couldn't even have a shower. You will know, being the new woo-woo that you are, that we are coming towards the end. We are 3 days towards the end, from the end of Mercury being retrograde for 3 weeks.
No,
that tends to lead to tech difficulties. And I've had a few tech difficulties this week. When I moved my Surface Pro between the living room where I am today, where I share my desk with my friend, and my bedroom where I work when she's home, the plugs, as I remove them from a sort of a gang, seem to suggest I've got power surge issues, and my Surface Pro doesn't like it, and it starts going bing bong, bing bong, bing bong, bing, which is very weird. I'm in Somerset, not Stupa. That's very odd. So I have had some tech issues which I don't like very much. I'm worried on behalf of my glamorous Surface Pro. And third, final but not least, bit of an emotional roller coaster with the low carbers this week, discovering what triggers addictions. We've had some really difficult emotional stuff. English muffins, birthday cake, chocolate covered nuts. what turns us into frenzied weirdos with apparently no control, and what psychological stuff it brings up from earlier in our lives. Interesting conversations, but tough moments, if you know what I mean. Clients describe themselves, I walked down the aisle in the supermarket and I was in a rage because I couldn't have any of it. And I went, well, actually, you could have it. It's your choice. But anyway, did you know that the drink of choice for the low carber, which you and I have discussed before, the vodka and slimline, is apparently known as a skinny bitch?
Well, I didn't know it was called that, but I knew it was called a skinny.
Well, it's called a skinny bitch, apparently.
Because all the models drink it.
Yeah, so that's not a nice connotation, is it?
I have tried it. I tried, because they do soda water out here. So vodka and soda with lime, and they've always got lots of limes.
Oh, I don't think you want soda. Can't you have slimline tonic?
No, because slimline means it's had some horrible treatment.
Well,
done.
That's true. Yeah.
If I'm going to go, I want to do it properly.
Yeah, but soda doesn't go really very nicely with alcohol in my...
It doesn't. It's very tasteless indeed.
Yes, it is tasteless indeed. I don't drink, as you know, but I do quite like a vodka, oddly enough, because it doesn't taste of anything, which I don't really like my booze to taste of booze, like the brown alcohols taste of booze.
Do you know the best way to do that then is keep it in the freezer and just do a slammer occasionally?
What, the vodka?
Yeah, just
I don't need to. It doesn't taste of anything anyway. And do I look like the sort of woman that would do slammers? Come on, Nicola, keep up.
Right out of the freezer, that's the best.
I don't really drink. Don't forget my mother died of alcoholism. I don't drink of it. I'm not going to take up slammers, am I?
No, I know. Very
mad thing. But I don't think soda, and no wonder your skinny's not working. Soda isn't going to work at all in that. That's horrible.
But the other thing is here, of course, that any proper booze costs a lot. So spirits are expensive, whereas for €2 you can get a tête-à-tête of rosé.
And how big is a tête-à-tête?
It's 2.5 glasses.
Well, I discovered something I think you'll quite like on the low carb website, because one of my clients does like a drink, and so I went and had a look when we were talking about the vodka and skinny, and I discovered that a glass of red. I know you can't stop at a glass. I don't mean you, I mean people.
Oi.
I said I don't mean you, I mean people. But if people could stop at a glass of red, it's not too bad, actually. 4 grams of carbs out of your 20 in a glass of red. You could have a glass of red a day if you wanted.
Oh, that's very nice, isn't it?
And they do recommend that.
I like a glass of red at the end of my white.
Well, there you go. But don't have one if you can't stop at one. I'm not talking to you again. I'm just generally addressing the ether.
Generally, yes, exactly. Yeah.
I'm not sure about rosé, by the way. I suspect it's more carby.
Yeah, probably. But anyway, lots of rosé and coconut consumed yesterday.
Sorry, I missed what coconut is.
It's red. That's how you go to ena potiri rosé parcolo. We've all mastered how to order our drinks in Greece.
Yes, you don't surprise me.
And I can order Cosopolo to this.
I mean, it is the main thing that British people can say overseas is 2 beers, please, isn't it?
Yeah, I know, it's hilarious.
Shocking.
And where is the toilet? Okay, moving on, because that becomes quite essential after you've had several.
Well, only at a certain age. If you've had a lot of beers and coccolos.
Exactly.
Yeah.
What's fueled your fire then?
I've done 2 exploratory Entrepreneur of the Day calls this week. One with a podcast listener, and she and I both hope she'll become a client later in the year. And I think actually, if she does, I think she'll be my first client, or when she does, I think she'll be my first client for whom the book was pivotal in client attraction. I certainly know she's in my Ask Judith group, and we have a relationship. I think we have a relationship that's dual-based, podcast and book-based. I'm not sure which came first in her life, but I'm sure she'll tell me. And we'll do that when she's got the funds together. We got on like a house on fire. But the other one, well, this is not what's fueled my fire, but I'll tell you that in a minute. The other one was Jimmy, who's your man from Seattle, Washington, the vicar that you palmed off onto me to find out about ebook publishing and marketing.
Oh, yes.
Did you know he was a vicar? Is that why you palmed him off onto me?
I totally didn't know he was a vicar.
No, well, we got on like a house on fire again. I liked him a lot, actually. But what's fueled my fire is that I asked both of them, because they were the free Entrepreneur of the Day calls, if they would at the end post both, please leave me nice reviews on my Facebook page, which they did lickety split. Nice ones, good ones. And I also enjoyed both conversations very much.
Well, that's always good then, isn't it?
Yes, it is good. Win, 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 win.
Absolutely. Happy and grateful, happy and grateful.
And also Jimmy from Seattle, Washington, did ask how he could pay next time. So that's 2 clients in the making there, which is good.
Very nice. Very nice. Well, what's fueled my fire is my 30-day challenges are 14 to 15 days in, depending on when they started. And they're all producing their second bits of content now. And they are all saying how wonderful experience it's been, how great my support's been, how the process has really helped them. And interesting enough, it's helped me as well, because it's made me reconnect with how powerful a simple system is. And I sometimes slip off from using it myself, but it's been so affirming that, and the really interesting thought-provoking thing is that it was something that I sort of made up under duress when I was working with Neil, because he said, we haven't got any money for ads, let's just use social media. So I had to work out a way to leverage content, because the only way he would produce content was by writing a blog post. And I just knew that wouldn't cut it. So I had to find out ways to get his blog post onto every other platform going. But it reminded me how powerful a simple system is. And the interesting thing is that the people that are really making the most of this challenge are really highly intelligent people who are really organised, I would say more organised than me, and who just somehow didn't have the brain space capacity, I think. I think they didn't have the RAM available to sit and puzzle out a system for their content, because they're all creating, they're all perfectly capable of creating content, but somehow the magic comes in putting the system together. If you do this, then it will make this bit easier. If you do this in front of that, it will make that bit easier. These are the bits you need for that. So it's about something about the sequencing of events that I've put together that make things easier for people. And I've just worked out how to add 2 more bits in as well. So I'm going to make it even better next time. But lovely, lovely testimonials, lovely watching people achieving things that they never dreamt they would. I mean, it's gone from, as I say, super achievers like Yvonne Halling and Irene, down to Gopika, who was someone who just didn't know nothing about internet marketing, and she's produced her first Spanish-speaking bit of content and is leveraging it everywhere. And to watch her do, I mean, she came up with such a sweet little thing the other day. She said, "Oh, I don't know, we're up to day 6 and it's a podcast, creating a pod. I don't know if I can do this." And I said, "Kapika, no, you can't do this. No, it's not for you, really. You shouldn't try and make a podcast." And then I went, "I'm lying. Of course you can do it. Come on, you've learned so much in the last 5 days. Don't stop now. Of course you can do it." She just puzzled everything out on her own so far, and it's not even her native language. So that really, really got me going. It really fueled my fire, as you can hear.
And what I think is interesting about that is twofold. One, Be Everywhere Online has been in your life for 18 months.
Oh, longer than that, since
2 years. Why did it take so long to get around to offering a 30-day challenge?
Because I thought it was a lot. I thought I wasn't capable of the organisation, actually. And it was listening to Sarah talk about one of the 30-day challenges she participated in, where she said that it was struck the nice balance between making people keep up and pay attention, because this woman that Sarah did the 30-day challenge with switched off her videos after a certain number of days. Yeah. So, but she made them available within her membership. And I thought that's really nice. And actually, Sarah said this woman switched off her videos after 24 hours. Yes. I thought that was a bit harsh. And then I thought 3 days would be good. And then a couple of people came in late, so I then made it 5 days just so that they would be able to do it.
Quite a nice hook, though, isn't it? It's free here, and if you don't do it in a timely fashion, and I've given you 3 days, you can always catch up in the paid membership group.
Yeah. And I figured out how to do it easily, which was to put it onto YouTube, make it unlisted, link to it in your email and your posts in the group, and then you can just go and make it private after the 5 days, and it's so effortless to run. So I just kept it really simple, but it's so rewarding seeing people going through your system and having results with it. People are getting leads, people are getting client inquiries. It's fantastic.
And the second thing I wanted to say on this topic, and it's happening with me in the low carbers, is it's getting us both to practice what we preach.
Yes.
So you're doing it yourself, and you're being reminded about how good it is to do it yourself, and it's authentic to do it yourself, isn't it?
Absolutely. And I'll tell you a bit more about how that manifested later on in the show.
Roger.
So let's talk focus then.
Yeah, I think we're going to go with this quote of Irene's, actually. She's the employer toolbox, and she put this lovely image, which I wonder if we can use that, can we, as the thing that goes with the show this week? Anyway, up to you.
Yeah.
You might be able to get Irene's permission. It's from Jim Rohn. I'm a bit of a Jim Rohn fan, actually. You don't get paid for the hour, you get paid for the value you bring to the hour. And I've put here, what's the best way to demonstrate that? What are good ways to bring value to the hour? And what are the best ways to price by the hour or not? I mean, I'm totally with him that we don't get paid for the hour, we get paid for the value we bring to the hour. But I think we've got to demonstrate the value, which I call cred, what's in your CV and your life history and your business that will get people to see they're not just getting an hour, but they're getting your whole career crammed into it, as it were. But more importantly, I think neither of us would be fans of selling anything by the hour.
Oh, definitely not, because I found to my cost when I went to see one of my first clicks and leads clients to run their Facebook ads for them, that she had worked out what she was getting as solicitor. Yeah. And it turned out to be more per hour than she was charging.
Well, do you remember, they're like accountants, they're in the land of the timesheet and the hourly rate. So no wonder that would be their focus. But I don't let my clients sell things by the hour. We do value billing or project billing or something that disguises the hourly rate. Otherwise, people take advantage of it.
Yes, and this is a double-edged sword, because when you go to hire someone like a VA, you want to, I mean, I have these conversations endlessly with Sarah, who's constantly tweaking the way she offers her services. And
yes.
I say you've got to set a high hourly rate, even if you don't feel worth it, based on what other people would charge to do the same work. And then you can do discount offerings for people who pay up front and buy batches of time, but somehow she's still struggling to enforce that. And we've had a couple of conversations this week where she's done work for people and they haven't paid on a timely fashion because she didn't enforce the pay up front thing. And also there was another thing where she went and did some really hard work for someone for about a week and a half, and she didn't have that conversation in advance about what she was going to charge or what the other people felt they wanted to pay. And she's now in this situation where they're going, tell us what you want for the job, and she's going, no, tell me what you want to pay for it. And we all know in any negotiation the person who names a price first loses. So even in a situation where it's two really good friends and they're trying to be fair to each other. So I think it's really, really important to work out what you'd love to get per hour and then discount from that if people buy more than 1 hour at a time. That's the starting place for it. And then the next step on from that is to add intangible value that people value but can't buy by the hour. For example, in Sarah's case, she can add keeping your blog up to date with your plugins and your themes. Now, that's not going to take her a lot of time, and also she could outsource it to someone, a VA could do that job. But it's of immense value to a business owner who doesn't ever think about doing it or doesn't have the time or is worried about breaking their website when they do it. And Steve, I know, used to charge £97 a month to do that for his clients, and they happily paid it because it kept their websites from being hacked for a start. And that's immense.
Yeah, I'm in two minds. I'm in two minds about this. I think because I know how to do that for myself in the back end.
No, see, exactly. You don't value it as much.
No, I don't. And actually, I wouldn't have paid 97 quid to Steve to do it for me. And Sandra tried to get me on $97 a month for it, and I wasn't having that either. And actually, my however abundant I am and however much I coach my clients to, in fact, I'm a good payer of Sarah's. I pay on presentation of her bill, and she bills me a decent hourly rate, which even incorporates a regular client discount or something. So it's a rather satisfactory business. But I can understand how she wouldn't relish that longish conversation in advance. And if she wouldn't relish it and she doesn't have it, then if I was her client at the end of it and she'd done a long job, I would be grumpy about that. So it is a two-way street there, I think. It's about managing people's expectations, isn't it?
Yeah, because, if you start work for someone and they don't know what you're charging or what you've got in your mind,
I know.
It might take longer, it might be more expensive, it might be a horrible shock for the client.
Whereas I think you always have to assume that they don't know what, we know, don't we, that the one that we go back a decade, maybe more, with people who think they can send to people like Steve and Sarah and everybody that we know who's always done websites, can you just, can you just, which and inherent in the sentence is that they believe it's just going to take you a couple of ticks. and they don't want to pay for a couple of ticks. And funnily enough, as I was about to say, I'm abundant in the extreme, but I'm not. I find it hard to see the value in. I find it hard to help a client who does what Sarah does, and VAs as well, so not necessarily webby stuff. I find it hard to, I think it's because I'm so good at admin and I'm quite geeky. I find it hard to see the chargeable value in those services. Not that they're not worth it, they're totally worth it. But I think it's probably because there's a mismatch between the Sarahs of the world and the clients they're working with. Because I think the clients they attract, by and large, are not high enough up the scale to pay them the value of their hour, which is what the topic of this conversation is.
I've got another example for you. I swapped to Xero, the online bookkeeping system.
Yeah.
Absolutely love it. Absolutely love using it. I paid quite a bit for $400 or $500 for them to set it up for me, and then for them to give me 3 hours or 3
I remember.
coaching on how to use it.
Yeah.
Now I can get them to do it for $167 a month with the reconciliation. I can go through and assign the money coming in and money coming out, and then they would do the reconciliation for $167.
Yeah.
Somehow I can't bring myself to pay.
No, it's interesting, isn't it? Yeah.
But listen, I haven't been able to reconcile my Xero since before Christmas.
No,
I don't know how to do it properly. And so I'm going to have to now do a trade with my mate Steph for something she wants, so that she can sit with me and watch me doing it, because somewhere I'm going wrong.
Yeah.
But really, I should pay someone $167 a month to do it, because it's painful and excruciating.
Well, yes and no, because I think actually this is the fact that you and I are conflicted about this in some areas but not in others, I think demonstrates the focus very well.
Totally, yes.
Which is, some things we're prepared to pay for, some things we're not prepared to pay for, and there doesn't seem to be much rhyme or reason to that. But what's great about it is if you or me or our respective clients are absolutely solid in the value and the pricing, then it gives the market a choice about whether or not they pay it. And if they don't pay it, it doesn't matter, because we don't get into those tangly conversations about, I don't really understand what you've done for the money. We leave the space clear for those who readily will pay $167 a month. And actually, if they won't, you don't want Bean Ninjas, doesn't want them as a client.
Yeah, absolutely. And it is Bean Ninjas. And that
it's so clean. It's clean. Do you see? It's beautifully clean.
Yeah. It's a reasonable amount, and I'm not querying their pricing at all. I'm just querying the fact that because I've got an inkling I should be able to do it. I think that we've nailed it on that. It's because you know how to do your own blog updates and theme updates. You don't value it as much as someone who doesn't have a clue and is terrified to do it in case they break their website.
Yes, and also there's nothing I'd like better than a reconciliation. I just don't know how to use Xero. But reconciliations are my favourite bit, manually and on Sage.
What I should do then, I should work out an incentive for you to sit and watch me on
No,
Zoom.
I don't want to learn how to use Xero. Why would you learn how to drive a tacky little car when you already know how to drive a Rolls Royce? No, thanks.
No, okay, but wouldn't you enjoy?
No.
Wouldn't you get a visceral pleasure?
No. You know why? Because my RAM's full up. I don't want to learn anything I don't need to know how to do.
I'm not saying that you would do the reconciliation. I'm saying you could coach me through.
No, I don't want to learn how to use Xero, and I'd have to look at your screen and get to grips. I've never even looked at Xero. I don't want to look at Xero. Not interested. But this is good. This is good because it's exactly the point, and there is no rhyme or reason to it. So what I want to get the listener to get, funnily enough, that lady that I did the Entrepreneur of the Day call with, she said, the reason I'm talking to you today and not instead of months ago is because I was labouring under the misapprehension that I should be able to do it myself.
Oh, that's exactly it, isn't it?
Yes, it is. So what we do is, I'm not going to spend $167 on that. I should be able to do it myself. So we just lump another thing onto our to-do list that's never going to get done. And then actually the rankling of it. So for instance, I haven't entered my opening trial balance from my accounts from the 1st of September 2016, which means I can't year end my 31st of August 2017 accounts. And now I'm in a place where I can't print, and I do need to print for that. And it's all just too much of a faff. And these things, when they're on your back, are really painful. Now, When I finally find a chunk of time to do that, it'll get done much quicker than you can imagine, and I'll feel great when it's finished. And I think that's what all these jobs demonstrate. But instead of the $167, we go, oh, I'll just put that on my to-do list and I'll get round to it eventually. And we feel like shit between now and then because it's just hanging over us all of the time. So what we're talking about is time is money.
Yeah, I was just thinking something deeply psychological came into mind there when you were saying.
Good, tell me. I like it when you're deeply psychological. It's the new meditative Nicola Cairncross.
It doesn't happen that often, but oh my God, it packs a punch when it does.
Tell me.
My reluctance to outsource this is not just about the $167. It's about the fact that I want to be independent. It's a bit like, I don't like being dependent on things. When I was a kid, I had asthma and I was told to use my inhaler every day. And I wouldn't do it because I didn't want to become dependent on it. And so this is me wanting to learn how to do everything I possibly can myself, except when it's boring. Okay, there's my criteria.
So I've written here reluctant to outsource, but actually you're not reluctant to outsource if it's boring. You're reluctant to outsource if you think it might be
well, like you like to tick boxes. I enjoy reconciling zero.
Yeah.
And it's a nice Saturday morning thing. But the other thing is I don't want to become dependent on people. Now,
stop here. I think you were absolutely right about not wanting to become dependent on the asthma inhaler. But outsourcing isn't about dependence on others. It's about efficiency in our business.
And I know actually that outsourcing to Bean Ninjas, it would get done beautifully. I know that
because you've got a good experience in relationship.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So why have I gone back to using a Google spreadsheet to run my cash flow?
Well, do you know, because I think that's enough. I think everybody we know in our line of work can run their accounts on a spreadsheet. And actually, my version of Sage is so old that when I finally give up on it, I will do it on a spreadsheet. The only reason I don't, I'm sorry, this is a bit techie, is that a spreadsheet is single entry and Sage is double entry, as is Xero, and I prefer double entry. But, because then you can give your accounts and a trial balance. Anyway, let's go back to the point. You don't get paid for the hour, you get paid for the value you bring to the hour. Now, that's Jim Rohn's quote. And if we look at the Bean Ninjas example, they're not being paid $167 to reconcile. They're being paid over that. Part of it is the reconciliation, but the other part is to take it off your back because they are consummate professionals at doing it.
Yeah, they know how to do it on Xero.
Right. So our challenge, yours, mine, and the listeners, is how do we feel so confident in the value that we deliver? 1. 2, how do we demonstrate that so clients are happy to pay? Well, there's Sarah's issues 1 and 2. How do we feel confident of the value? 2, how do we demonstrate the value? And 3, how do we, once we're congruent on both of those two, we still have to have, and several chapters of my book mention this, a conversation with the client before we start. Otherwise, you're going to have this horrid wrangling at the end when they don't pay, or they don't pay on time, or they think the bill is rubbish. And if people don't like paying, their first stance is always to attack the basis of the bill.
Yes. And I still have an issue in that everyone who's been through the 30-day challenge loves my Be Everywhere Online system. Everyone who watches the Be Everywhere Online video that I've made to show people how it works, I don't hold anything back. I don't tell them exactly how to do it, obviously, but I tell them exactly what needs doing. And they love that, and a lot of people join after watching that. My biggest challenge is demonstrating it online, especially now that I haven't got the Facebook ads thing. So all I can do, really, is go online in various different ways, which I want to talk about later on in the show, and demonstrate my expertise. And
I've got some thoughts on that. Because inherent in the question is something I think about and feel about quite a lot for myself and for my clients as well. Inherent in the question is the belief that's crept up on us both in the last, since 2010, that people can't or won't choose to afford.
You've got that belief.
I think we need to, not just me, I think it was inherent in what you just said. And I don't just mean you and me, I think the listener, I think everybody thinks that. And I think, so for instance, in the example of a 30-day challenge, what percentage would you expect to convert to payers at the end?
Well, I haven't got to the end of it yet.
No, but what percentage, forget that. I mean, as an industry standard, what percentage converts to a paying customer at the end of a free challenge?
I guess I'd say 5%.
Yeah, I think we just start challenging that and assuming it's 50. I think it's about assumptions here. I think we got to completely get our heads out of our fundaments and go, make a different choice about our expectations of outcomes.
Well, the thing with 30-day challenges, let's just give you some numbers. In fact, well, I was going to do that. No, I wasn't. 80 people signed up.
Yep.
By lots of people started signing up at the end of 1 week, and it was starting on the Monday. By the Monday, that had dropped to 72 people. People had ducked out already. Then, as the days have gone past, less and less people are opening the emails.
Yep.
So I'm down. I'm actually higher than I expected to be. Halfway through, 50 to 60% are still opening the emails. So that's 40 people still engaging with the challenge on some level. Okay. Within the group, there is about 10 people that are actually producing content and showing it to us. So there might be some that are producing content quietly and not showing anyone, but I can't imagine why you do that. Okay. So say 10 out of 80. So is that the 80-20 rule? What's 8-16?
No, 80 no. It would be 20. Well, it would be 20 if it was 80. It's not bad, Nicola. It would be 2 8s are 16. 16 would be the 80-20 rule out of 80.
So it's even less than the 80-20 rule.
Yes, it is.
Yeah. So let's say the 80-20 rule. So out of those 10, I would expect 20% to sign up, which is then 1, 2.
Yeah.
So what's 2 out of the original 80?
Not much.
No, but as a percentage?
I don't know off the top of my head. 1. No, it's small, tiny. No, it's small. If it's 2 out of 80, I'd have to do a sum, and I haven't got a calculator, but it's tiny. Okay. Yeah.
But so
10% would be 8. Divide 10 by 2.5.
Okay, so I can't think. But I do know that someone has signed up for the 30-day challenge and has subsequently swapped from becoming a monthly client to paying annually because she was so convinced of the value of staying for a year now, having been involved with me directly.
Well, that's a good result.
Challenge, exactly.
Yeah.
So if you say that most people stay for 3 months after they join, the lifetime value of a customer is much, much higher than just a small amount. It's not like a one-off payment. It's a membership. So
what do they pay monthly? $67?
No, it's $147 now.
$147, and you think if 2 sign up, they'll stay for at least 3 months?
Yes.
Okay, so 147, 150, 350, $700. Okay.
If someone's already signed up for a year to get the 30% discount, which is it's about 800 and odd quid for a year with a discount. So although it's small numbers participating, one of them has signed up for a year. So I think.
All right. So if every 30-day challenge you do results in an 800 quid, is that a fair return?
Yes, because I think that people who participate and get a great result from it will recommend me.
Yes, I think that's probably true. So we've got to look beyond that.
Yeah. And also...
you've got to look at it as a lead-in product too, haven't you?
Exactly, because I'm going to run it one more time for free, and then I think after that I could probably charge $20 or $30 per
That's true, and that would underwrite it, and also it would do that thing that Sue O'Kell always talked about, which would you'd start with payers. You'd start with people in the paying mentality, not the freebie mentality.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And I know, Sarah. I know that I've paid to contribute to participate in things. Ed Dale went from doing his 30-day challenge free to charging $30 for it because he realised that people would take it more seriously.
And here's another thought, and it's not necessarily appropriate for your offer, but it is appropriate for clients' offers. So for instance, in the past, I've done it that people paid 97 quid for a discovery call with me, and then if they bought a year's coaching, I would knock that off.
Yes.
So that call is no risk, but it isn't available to freebie hunters.
Yes. So coming back to the by the hour thing, I'm reminded of that story about the man who was called into the nuclear power plant, which was about to blow, and he was called in and he'd walked around and he'd listened and he'd felt and he'd hummed and hard, and at the end he just tapped something with a hammer or whatever it was. And the nuclear power plant was fixed, and it didn't blow. And then afterwards, he submitted an invoice for $100,000, and they said, they queried it. They said, "You were only there for an hour, and you only tapped one thing." He said, "Yes, so I'll send you my new invoice, shall I?" And sent the new invoice, and it was like, I think he said $1 for tapping the right pipe. $1 for tapping the pipe, that was it.
And the rest of it for knowing where to tap. Yeah, I've heard it with a plumber, that one, but it's a good one. And it reminds me also of the one about the Harvard thing and the fisherman, doesn't it? It's wisdom. What value wisdom? But let's go back to this. Just restate this point so clients can work it out for themselves. You don't get paid for the hour, you get paid for the value you bring to the hour. But what you've got to do is work out a way of demonstrating that so people are happy to pay whatever value you put on your hour. And if they don't, never mind, goodbye, because they leave space for those who will. But we're not selling anything by the hour because people just screw you down and don't like it very much if you do.
And the other thing is that a really good way to demonstrate is to have a consultation with people. But then you get a lot of tire kickers signing up for free. And the way you do it seems to work much better than the way I used to do it. Because I used to get people who didn't have any intent of signing up as clients. I inserted a sentence. If you're contemplating, working with me, then book yourself in for a free one. Yes. And I've definitely changed my page they go to before they book to say everyone thinking of becoming a client gets a free consultation. But if you're thinking of doing this thing where you charge an amount of money for people who want to come and talk to you, make sure that people then don't think that that's your hourly rate.
Yeah.
So how much do you charge for? Oh, it's an entrepreneur of the day, isn't it? So
they're free, but I give them to people who are contemplating becoming a client.
Or you do the pay what you want thing, don't you? Which also
certainly... no, the pay what you want is for people who've already had the free ones. If you've had the free one and you're not ready to sign up to a year, you've got to buy the next ones. You don't get endless free ones, only one free one.
Yes, and also you don't put an hourly price on that, do you? You don't put a price on that, do you? You say
no, but I give them a guideline.
Which is high, is it, as an hourly rate?
Yes.
That's good because that sets your value higher, doesn't it?
I'm not apologetic about my value and I know my value, but I'm thinking more of our clients. But I love the reinforcement of this and of the nuclear power plant and of the plumber and of the Harvard Mexican fisherman story, which is we, the seller, have to be 100%, higher if it wasn't for the X factor maths. We have to be 100% congruent and confident about the value we bring to the hour. And I think that comes from cred, i.e. what's in your past history. So the lady I spoke to yesterday had got 2 degrees in something. If you've got that, if people can see you've got cred, you're not just a fluffy, they see the value. You've got to demonstrate the value. That's the point. Otherwise people won't get it.
Yeah, so all you've got to do is figure out how to demonstrate the value in the way that's most easy, effortless and fun for you. Otherwise you won't do it.
Well, no, and it doesn't negate those difficult conversations that people like Sarah don't want to have.
Yeah, I mean, my time in the music industry just made me realise so deeply that you've got to have the conversations about money before anyone has any success.
Yeah.
Because even if you bring immense value to the relationship, I was a manager, and even if you bring immense value to the relationship, as soon as someone starts really seriously earning, they are not going to want to give any of it away unless you had that conversation in advance and you've got it written in words of steel, backed up by a fine music industry lawyer.
If anything, the music industry are the best, brackets also the worst at that.
Yes. And then there was Dire Straits' manager who did it all on who looked after...
Dire Straits very cleverly didn't sign up to a contract like that. They paid their own expenses so that when they hit the big time, their money was all theirs.
No, but also their manager and them worked together for 25 years on a handshake. So there are people in the industry that are good, but I think you have to assume that when money comes into it, everyone gets a bit weird.
Well, not just in business, in every area of life.
Yes, that's very true. Gosh, that really has been brought home to me with the aftermath of Steve dying.
It's interesting, isn't it, that this topic is when money comes into it, people get a bit weird. That's what this conversation is. So we've got to, and everybody's different. That's the thing. So even if your weirdness isn't the same as my weirdness, isn't the same as Sarah's weirdness.
No, absolutely true. Yeah, absolutely true.
That's why we've got to have a conversation with everybody, because you can't assume that another client will respond to the money in the same way.
And the final thing to remember on this is that people want to hire you. If you're good at something, people want to hire you. And if you make it difficult for them to know what it's going to cost them, they're going to go off and they're going to pay someone else, because it's so excruciating for most people to talk about money.
Yes, I agree.
You don't have something set out nice and clear and clean. Like you say, it's clean to say what you charge and how you charge.
Yes.
And it takes all the emotional charge out of the conversation about hiring someone.
Yes.
We've got a mate out here who's just stunning at organising parties and making those parties special with the decor and the things she does. But she will not let anyone hire her to do it. So we'd all love.
It's no different than you not wanting to become the local internet geek. I mean, some things you can't buy.
No, but she would like.
She doesn't want to do it for money, does she?
No, she does want to do it for money, but she just finds it so excruciating to talk about it. Whereas if she just had a little,
she needs an agent. Why don't you become her agent, like Steph is Kate's agent?
Yes.
Yeah,
because I'm far too busy. Thank you very much.
Yeah, if anybody's listening and they want an agent, I'd love to be somebody's agent. I'm really good at these conversations. They don't faze me at all. What's it cost? Do you want it or what?
Yeah, it's always easy to talk about someone else's money, isn't it?
There's a thing going on in my Ask Judith group at the moment where somebody is saying, and it's not the first time she said it, and I'm totally on her side, and you and I agreed this 15 years ago, what do you do when you want to buy something, but the sales process of the vendor is not to tell you what it costs? They want to get into a sales conversation with you so that they can demonstrate its value and then shock you with the monster price that is it at the end. And they assume that if you knew in advance it was $4,500 and you'd work that out from your website, they wouldn't have a chance to even an opportunity of making a sale to you and with you. And this drives my client mental, and she gets herself in her knickers in quite a knot about it. And I just let it go. Just buy the thing from somebody else who makes their prices visible in the way that you would prefer.
Yes, there's quite a lot of psychology going on with those calls.
Yes, there is. And actually, funnily enough, they're often quite NLP type based trainers.
Yes, I know, that's funny, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
Nothing. No, don't get me started on NLP. Moving on. Right. So have we? I think
we've done it to death, but it's so productive. I think we could easily revisit it in about 6 months' time because, as you immortally said, we're all so weird about money.
Nice one. Okay. Word of the week.
Mine is review, brackets asking for them, because it's the same thing, asking for reviews. Do you mind going to my Facebook page and leaving me a review? Is the same thing as asking for money, isn't it?
Well, not quite the same.
Well, it is. It is, because they've got to go visible on your Facebook page and say how much they loved you. It's a bit of an effort for some people. They don't get around to it. Some people have to nudge again. Do you mind? I do think it is. People don't like asking for things, Nicola.
No, it's very true. Whereas people love being asked to help.
Yes, we discovered that the other day. They even like you more. Do you remember?
Yes, that's right. It's been proved that they like you more if you ask them for help.
What's yours?
It's live, the word live, and you're going to find out why later on.
Okay.
So I'm just going with that for now.
Okay.
Project updates then.
My Blogfest is complete. All the 52 people were published. I'm still ploughing my way through their newsletter spotlights and their audio boom recordings, but I'm enjoying those much more this week, and I'm up to number 40. I think I'm doing 41 and 42 later on today. 124 books sold, over half on Amazon, so I was completely wrong about not wanting to sell on Amazon. Of my 124, what would half of 24 be? 62. 73 have been sold in print.
Oh, my word. In print, that's amazing. Yes. How many people still want real books? Yeah.
I know, and how many people buy it on sales and then go, oh, do you mind sending, if it's not too late, do you mind sending it and leaving it in the porch? Do you remember when we used to sell digital things and people would send us emails saying, can you leave it in the porch if I'm out? And I'd go, no, I've got to refund you and you've got to buy it from Amazon if you want a real one. So there's a little divvy factor going on there, but I still love them.
Yeah, of course. So how do you feel about the whole Blogfest thing in retrospect? I know it's been...
I think it's good, and it's given me 2 more ideas, actually, because somebody asked me a question about this in Ask Judith last night. How did you dream up the idea? Did you consider anything else? Do you remember the thing I really wanted to do was a 52-stop blog tour where 52 people agreed to feature one of the questions on there, and it just seemed too difficult to organise. I'm delighted with it, actually, and I think it will, in the end, prove to be the reason why I'm still getting 100,000 impressions on Twitter. But we
haven't puzzled that one out, have we?
No, I believe it's that, because that's the only exceptional. And don't forget, I've got like a sales force of 52 people.
Yes.
And I might have published their blog post 2 months ago, but when I get around to audio recording them and put it out on social media again, there's another wave.
I know, and this is just so exciting, this whole thing about leveraging one bit of content over and over, and we just we skip over it all the time, and it just blows me away. And I'll tell you what brought it back to me the other day was I looked at Phoebe's Phoebe hasn't done any videos for a little while. She's been very busy working at a new organic cafe, and having a lovely time. And I looked the other day at her YouTube channel, and she's just topped 50,000 views. Now, she only started doing her videos 2 years ago, and 50,000 views is amazing. But then when I looked at the most popular ones, they were all the ones she's done of face masks, where I went and looked at Google, and I took the name of the face mask and I just put it into Google, and her videos are number 1 and number 2 in Google for those particular face masks. So even if someone wasn't looking for a video, they're looking for those just to find out about those face masks, they will see Phoebe's video. And that's why each of her face mask videos has had 6,000 views, 7,000 views, 9,000 views. And I'd let her know this because she hadn't paid any attention to it. And I thought it made me realise again how you've got 52 questions that people are punching into Google in some form or other. And if you created content using those exact phrases, so it's another wave of.
Well, I'm making videos of them all. I'm making an audio and a video every week, and I'm up to question 15 of those.
Yeah, and are you putting your videos on YouTube?
Sometimes, yes.
I do
it in chunks. I do it in chunks.
Good. Because the thing we all forget is YouTube's owned by Google. And if your video is on YouTube and it's a key phrase that someone types into Google, not even just YouTube, they type it into Google, your video is quite likely to be shown on page 1. And that is so powerful for bringing people to your site that, are going to need you because they've typed the question in.
I'm so conflicted about, in the week where Zuckerberg gave his testimony to the Senate, I'm so conflicted about social media. It's not true, but we won't go there because I could.
Okay. So have you finished about your project?
I have. Tell me about yours.
Well, interesting. Moving on to this topic of me having my Facebook account shut down.
Yes,
I was struck by, as you know, I mentioned in last week's podcast, I was struck by how dangerous it is to build your business, whether it's a service or anything, based on being dependent on getting leads from one source. And I have completely focused on Facebook because I was able to use Facebook ads.
Because it was working, Nicola.
Yeah, and also I've been locked out of using Google AdWords for a similar thing. They took objection to my business model. Now, the reason that incenses me so much is because I go onto Facebook and I see digital marketer, I see Bernadette, Doyle, I see all of those other people whose business model is exactly the same as mine, and they are still advertising. And it just...
Isn't it? So actually they're lying when they say it's your business model. Your business model is the same, but your context of your business model is different.
No, there's certain little things that they're not putting into their terms and conditions, so nobody knows about them, that only people who spend a lot of advertising and have got their own Facebook rep to talk to can navigate this invisible minefield of doing things wrong. And anyway, so I've worked quite hard this week on getting not upset about it, even though it does incense me every time I think about it.
Yeah.
And the other thing is that, so I too have had, for the first time in my life actually, because I blooming love social media. I love the way it keeps people connected. I love the way our family's in touch. I love, all the good things about it. But if it, you just got to accept that each social platform is going to reach the point where they have to make money out of it. And the only way they can make money out of it is by not playing fair. So you've got to be ready to move, or even better, you've got to be ready to put everything on everything in whatever way works best on that platform. Because then if one thing pulls the plug, it doesn't matter so much. So that's the thought that got me over being upset and shocked about my Facebook ads account, which I'm still wrangling with them. I might get it back, you never know. But the point is, I don't know if I want to anymore, because they're not playing fair in my book. And
Is that true? Is that true? What you said was the only way they can make money is by not playing fair. Is that true? Because actually that would make me want to go out the front door, shut it behind me, and just wander off into the woods and never be heard of ever again, if that was true. Because it's immoral.
Well, okay, so how is it immoral to shut down someone who has... I am one of the...
No, it is immoral. It's immoral.
I'm one of the good guys online. I really treat people well. I deliver what I say I'm going to. I'm not ripping thousands of people off. And yet I see people online who are advertising and whose business model is the same as mine. And I know that they do take people's money when they shouldn't, and they use those sales calls we've talked about to manipulate people into giving them the money. And still I'm the one that gets shut down.
Well, as my dad said before I went to work when I was 17, and actually, as I think about it now, this is terrible hypnosis, and it was his reality, not mine. Life isn't fair, Judith.
I agree with you. Life isn't fair, and I thought I'd got to that point where I could live with that. But then I'm in this situation. But it's been good for me. I don't want anyone to think I'm really seriously upset about it. It does wind me up when I think about it, but it's brought home to me the reality that I need to be not platform dependent. My business needs to not just be based on doing Facebook ads for someone. Either I do for paid ads across the board, which I don't want to do, so that knocks that part of my business out, which is fair enough, or I am non-platform dependent in attracting people through fantastic content and building relationship and trust with people. Exactly what we used to do back in 1989 or
I think we would struggle to make it work now because the competition is Facebook.
Because everyone's on Facebook, you mean?
Yeah.
But they're not. The kids aren't. The kids aren't on Facebook.
I'm not interested in the kids. They're not my clients. But, I think there will be a revolt against this, actually. I saw some very vitriolic stuff about the Facebook business model. I mean, the irony of them not liking your business model.
I know. Yes, it's hilarious, isn't it, when you think about it? But then we all felt like this about Google when they shut off Google AdWords for certain people who were selling info products. They just decided info products were not good across the board. End of.
I think it's bigger than that. I think that they like things that keep us addicted and small, and they don't like things that are about empowerment.
Oh, that's a bigger question, isn't it?
Well, that's why I'm dark about it all.
Yeah.
And actually, you wait till I get to my who or what's impressed or inspired. I've got 2 rants coming up on this topic.
Okay, so just to wind up on a lighter note.
I'm not going to, but carry on. Yeah.
Well, I'm going to wind this section up on a lighter note.
Okay.
I have been liberated from my dependence on Facebook ads by them shutting me down, and I'm absolutely determined that it's not going to make any, because this whole...
Well, there is straight away demonstrable, if anybody ever needed it, the benefits of you having spent 3 months meditating, because I don't think you would have found that liberation 3 months ago. I think you would have been miserable about it. Good on you.
Yeah, well, it definitely was. The meditation, I did it only this morning.
I mean, good on you. Good on you. If you can see this as a positive. I mean, I thought I was the queen of positive thinking, but that is a staggering leap. Well done.
Yeah, well, there's no choice, is there? Because otherwise I'd be...
No, you've been liberated from your dependence on Facebook. To what? What's the alternative then?
Well, to what I've been doing, which is creating content. I can still use Facebook Live.
Yes, you can. Yes, you can. Yes.
And then taking that content and leveraging it onto every single other blooming platform.
But you see what the irony is? They're not going to make any money out of you, are they?
No. The pathetic paltry sums I was spending on my...
Yes, so you're going back to content marketing, not paid advertising.
Well, I've always been content marketing, but I've been paying to boost my content, whereas actually now I'm just going to go and put it on other platforms.
Yes, stuff them.
Yes, stuff them, exactly.
So they've cut off their noses to spite their faces. Okay, it's a shrimp, but they have cut off their nose to spite their faces.
They don't even realise it.
Yeah, they don't.
Right then, shall we go with yours?
Have you got jolly things in here? Yeah. Because mine are quite angry and ranty again, actually.
Yeah, you
but in a good way, I think. Do you want me to go?
Yeah, you go first.
Well, I'm going to talk about the gender pay gap debate.
Right.
2 women who've really impressed me, 2 great women. Well, actually, there are more than 2 great women, but you'll remember a month or so ago that the BBC were obliged to publish what they paid men and what they paid women their payroll. And one woman walked immediately from the Radio 4 Today programme, which is their serious news programme in the morning, which is it's got John Humphreys on it, who's a miserable, curmudgeonly old man who's paid $600,000 a year to be provocative and neg. And Nick Robinson, who's paid $250,000 a year, and my hero of the week, Sarah Montague, who was paid $133,000. And when she discovered the pay gap, she described herself last weekend in the news as incandescent with rage.
Yeah.
Well, she's a journalist, and I am incandescent with rage on her behalf, on behalf of all women who are disadvantaged in the world, and men for that matter. This isn't just we're all disadvantaged to some extent, and your fact that you can be liberated by your disadvantagement is excellent, Nicola. But what else do we have in the end but to take up that choice? But my expression of the week is incandescent with rage, and it comes from journalist Sarah Montague at the BBC. Now, she's moved within the BBC. She's come off the Today programme. She said, stuff that for a game of soldiers, and she's gone over to run, I think, The World at One or something like that, which is just as interesting a programme, and senior journalism job, and I hope they're doing something about her pay. Outrageous. But my other female heroine of the week is Sandy Toksvig. Do you know who Sandy Toksvig is?
I do, yeah.
Yeah, she's a comedian, an author and a broadcaster. And she's the co-founder of the Women's Equality Party, which is a new political party which has been invented in the last couple of years.
Oh, really?
Yes. Been invented in the last couple of years. She's a co-founder. And she was the first ever woman recently to deliver something called the Adam Smith Lecture. And her lecture is called The Gender Pay Gap Isn't Half of It. Our Economy Runs on Women's Unpaid Work. And she ends up, there's an article I'm going to share in this, which was on The Guardian, but she ends up with 8 white men now own the same wealth as the 3.6 billion people who make up the poorest half of the world's population. Shall I say that again? 8 white men now own the same wealth as 3.6 billion people who make up the poorest half of the world's population. And it is women who are disproportionately represented in the poorest half of humanity. Yet this situation doesn't benefit your average man any more than it does your average woman. So, if like Adam Smith you're a fan of self-interest, then you should know that women's equality is better for everyone. The fact is, more equal societies do better on just about every available metric: mental health, general health, the crime rate, education, and so on. Mr. Smith, Adam Smith, the father of modern economics, lived with his mother until she died. It was her invisible hand that left him free to write his great works. I think it is now time to honour her contribution too, but hey, what would I know? You know, she's angry, we're angry, and this gender pay gap thing, and she's taken it even further. And somebody said that in my WASPy argument, that the people who are most disadvantaged in my group of women in their 60s who've had their pension delayed are women who've had babies and given their whole lives to bring up children and then gone on to be unpaid volunteers at school or in projects or whatever it is. And Sandy's article's got several examples of that. I'm anxious about sharing my political views on Facebook, but in the face of such courage from women as these, I'm not sure why I'm so circumspect for fear of offending, because I too am incandescent with rage, Nicola. But you know, when you have fabulously literate women explaining themselves in words and vocally, it's just perfect, really.
I didn't even know there was a Women's Party for Equality or whatever it's called.
The Women's Equality Party. It was founded, I'll Google it for you, but it was founded in the last 2 or 3 years.
Well, if more women knew about it, then that would be the...
Well, it's quite well populated. You don't really read the papers, do you, much?
No, but you'd think you'd see it on Facebook.
Well, we did. We did see it on Facebook before the last election.
I don't... Well, if women knew that party existed, and we are 50-odd% of the population, we could wipe all these silly old men off.
Yes, but we won't. You know why we won't? Apathy.
Apathy?
Yeah. Most people don't give a shit, Nicola.
No, it's because they're all too busy doing the unpaid work.
No, or pass me another slice of pizza and turn on the next episode on Netflix. Nobody cares because we all think the system is so broken there's nothing that little me can do about it.
Well, I'm off to find out more about it and perhaps sign up.
Women's Equality Party.
I will.
Right, tell me yours. Now that I've ranted, tell me yours.
Okay. Well, I want to talk about well, actually one of them's not white, so that's all right. 2 white males. No, 2 males. I was watching Minesh Bindi the other night. He's been off Facebook for
I know what you're going to tell. Was it good?
Oh my God, he was fantastic. And he's got a great product. It's called Golden Soul for Life. And I know it's great because some of my clients are in it. Yeah. And he teaches people and he gives a lot of support, and he's built a client base in 46 countries now who all worship the ground he walks on.
And he doesn't like Bitcoin, does he?
Don't even get me started on what he's doing in the Bitcoin. He's just stirring a hornet's nest there. It's hilarious.
Yeah.
So, but the point was that he's been off Facebook because he realised it was affecting his mental health, and he wasn't enjoying it, and he just gave himself a year off. And now he's about to create a property product that involves you not owning property, but investing in property in the same way you can in gold and silver. Sort of third party removed, and he's bringing to it a lot of really, really serious players, and he's really doing it well. Anyway, he's back on Facebook to promote it, and he's promoting it using Facebook Live. And I watched a couple just because I happened to, get the notification that he was going live, and I haven't seen him on Facebook for so long. I just watched. Anyway, I watched one of them, and it was very interesting. And he was talking about, the whole why the property investment system's broken at the moment and what you can do about it. And then the other night, he was broadcasting from Colombia, a balcony in Colombia. And I thought it was Canada at first, and I realised it was South America. And he's off in Colombia having a lovely time. And he started to talk about the 30 reasons you don't really want to invest in property in the way that everyone always has.
Yeah, tell me about it.
And he went through these 30. And as he did, it got better and better and better because he got more and more incandescent with rage.
Yes, my new favourite expression, yeah.
And so, first of all, he was calm, and he had his facts and figures at his fingertips. He demonstrated his credibility. He demonstrated his authority. He demonstrated his expertise. He talked about his 46 clients in 46 countries. So you knew he had a successful business. And then he started saying what was wrong with all of the people that are out there in hotels every weekend taking money off of people to teach them how to invest in property, and why they shouldn't be teaching that way of investing anymore because the world has changed. And he got better and better and better. And he was using strong language. He was fired up. He was passionate. There was hardly any people watching the live because it was a strange time of night, but I couldn't tear myself away. And he left us, he finally got to the point where he left us completely dangling for his new product that's coming soon. And I just thought, what a masterful, completely instinctive, he didn't plan it at all, but it was a completely instinctive, masterful use of Facebook Live to engage, to entertain, to inform, to pass credibility and authority, and to make people realise where he stood. He completely was 100% authentic, and it was very impressive. And I actually messaged him afterwards. I said, oh, my God, that was like a masterclass in how to do Facebook Live. It was brilliant. And so he was really thrilled. And then the next Facebook Live I watched was James Schramko, who's never said that he was brilliantly exciting. He always thought his voice, in fact, someone told him his voice was boring when he first started podcasting, but he stuck to audio largely, but he's actually very engaging in real life, and I've met him, so I know he is. But he started doing Facebook Live straight to camera, no editing, no fluff, no fancy graphics, nothing, a complete antithesis to the way other people do them. And he was brilliant, and he's just sharing his knowledge, and he had a simple call to action to go and look at a blog post that had a nice presentation on his core concept, which is his Own the Race course. And you could watch the presentation without an opt-in, so he wasn't even trying to get you to opt in to watch it. And I just thought, what a lovely, lovely, simple way to do business that establishes trust and makes a relationship without you feeling like you've given him anything to get the knowledge, So and that totally cheered me up about the whole Facebook thing, because I thought, if James can do it that simply, because I do get overwhelmed when I think things are going to be really complicated. So watching someone do something so truly and simply and authentically, it just regrounded me in how to use social media properly again. And I went off and I did a Facebook Live myself yesterday that was inspired and saying, what makes a good Facebook Live, and what, these two guys did a great one yesterday. And I gave links to James and Manesh, and obviously I tagged them. And James came back. I looked at my email this morning, and there was a notification to say that James had commented on my Facebook Live saying, underneath Manesh's thing, actually saying totally inspiring. And I said, yeah, he was great, wasn't he? And he said, no, I meant you.
Oh, bless.
And I thought that was such a nice thing to do, because I was complimenting them, and
But actually, it's a nice thought to end on, that a simple Facebook Live that goes to a blog post, which is free use of Facebook, can work.
It totally can, and especially that you don't have to get overcomplicated. You don't have to be Marie Forleo. You don't have to be Bernadette Doyle, who's, Facebook's ads are everywhere. And I think that puts a lot of people off even having a go, because it makes you feel I can't be as good as Marie or Bernadette. So you don't try. But actually, you don't have to be fantastic looking. You don't have to be fully made up. You don't have to have a brilliant background. You just need to be talking to the camera authentically with passion about something you care about, and you will connect with the right kind of clients.
Yeah. Good one.
Exactly the same as it's always ever been.
Well, good luck in editing 80 minutes down to an hour or less, Nicola. Okay. We got a bit ranty today, and your lovely picture on your momentum says, yesterday you said tomorrow.
What?
Your lovely quote on your momentum picture.
Yeah, I don't understand it, though.
Oh, it means people never start.
Yeah. I hope we've encouraged you to just start doing things.
Yeah, I think there was a film in my childhood which I would recommend you watching, and it's recently been redone again with the man from Breaking Bad, and it's called Network, and it was about an news anchor who encouraged the population to go to the window, open up the window and say, I'm mad as hell and I'm not going to take it anymore. Actually, he was going around the bend, and I think he dies at the end of it, but the man from Breaking Bad's just received a stage award for his role in regenerating it. But we've been in this episode mad as hell and not going to take it anymore, and we're looking for solutions, which is quite funny, whether it be your Facebook Live or your Women's Equality Party, or being cheered by people who are passionate and telling their truth.
Yes, absolutely. So that could be the title of the episode: passionate and telling your truth.
Might have to make it about what we decided about the focus, but yes, passionate and telling your truth. Okay,
good stuff.
Okay,
thank you very much.
See you soon.
Bye.
Okay, bye.
You've been listening to Nicola Cairncross and Judith Morgan. The podcast is called Own It, Your Business and Your Life. Do come and visit us at ownitpodcast.com. We'd love to hear your feedback. You can find out more about Judith and visit her on her website at judithmorgan.com, and you can find Nicola at nicolacairncross.com.